Calling case number 17-1434, the people of the state of Michigan versus Gregory Green. We're here for a sentencing. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tricia Gerard, on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mayor, please, the most honorable court, Charles Longstreet, the second P68205, appearing on behalf of Mr. Gregory Green. Today is the date and time set for sentencing of this matter. I have to honor the precinct investigation report from my client. It is factually accurate to its contents, however, there are corrections or additions or deletions to be made to the sentencing guidelines.
Okay, let's go over those. It's my understanding there was an agreement that PRV2 was incorrectly scored at 5 and should be 0.
That's correct, Judge.
That's correct.
And that reduces the total PRVs to 45 with a level D. And I believe the other issue was with respect to OV10 and how that should be scored.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, OV10, as you know, pertains to exploitation of a vulnerable victim. 15 points is normally scored in cases where there is predatory conduct involved. In this case, based on the facts as we know them to be, I definitely think that that OV should be scored at 15 points. The facts of this case indicate that Mr. Green prepared for these murders. He shopped at a Home Depot a week before. He bought piping so that he could alter the exhaust system of the car where the two youngest children were ultimately asphyxiated. He knew what he was going to do. He planned it. And I think by nature of that alone, 15 points should be scored for predatory conduct. Additionally, we have the domestic relationship with Faith Green. She is also a victim in this case, victim of the torture count and the assault with intent to do great bodily harm count. I also think that in his planning of these crimes, that she was preyed upon and she is a vulnerable victim. So at the very least, 10 points is appropriate.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Longstreet.
The defense leaves it in court discretion.
Okay, as we discussed in chambers, OV10, it's my understanding exploitation of a vulnerable victim means exploiting essentially the weakest in the herd, which would be someone, either the elderly or someone with a mental disability. Otherwise, nearly all conduct with any intentional crime would be considered predatory. I do agree with the people that it should be OV10 because the offender exploited his domestic relationship with Ms. Green. So I will score that, which takes us to 315. Given the fact that the PRV level is now D, what does that make the guidelines?
It makes the guidelines...
Because it would not change the OV levels.
No, the OV doesn't change. It's still a level 3, Your Honor. So that makes us 270 to 450 months.
Okay. Defense agrees.
For the murder 2 counts and the torture.
Proceed with defense.
Okay. Are there any victim impact statements to be made?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, Faith Green, the mother of all 4 children, would like to make a statement. I have asked her deputies if it would be okay if one of her sisters stood with her just for moral support.
It's absolutely fine. For the record, I have read 2 impact statements. One from a paternal aunt and one from April Mannion. Please say your name for the record.
Faith Green.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with the outcome. There's no punishment that fits the crime. Not even torture and death would be justice. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for all eternity for murdering 4 innocent children, all because you're insecure as a man. Plus the other 2 lives you took. You are a con artist, you are a monster, you are a devil in disguise. You are now forever exposed. I've thought over and over again what I would say, even though it doesn't even matter. First of all, I am not and did not and will not suffer like you intended for me to do. What you tried to do didn't work. I am and was a damn great mother to all of my children. I was their mother and father. I'm the one who took out the time with each and every one of them. I taught them how to do things as well as people in my family and friends. I taught Chadney how to treat a woman with respect, how to fill out a job application, mock interviews, how to pay bills, encouraging him to give his all in his schooling, producing movies, and his drawings. He was a great artist. He graduated from Specs Howard for digital media arts. He wanted to be a producer to make movies. I taught Kara to stay focused, aim high. I showed her how to drive, how a young lady is to carry herself in an orderly manner. Be all that you can be. Try out for everything that you're interested in doing. Pursuing higher education. We were filling out college applications. She wanted to be an OBGYN doctor. She was going to graduate this year from high school. I taught Coy to be open to new things like learning a new language, be confident in doing her schoolwork and in herself. She loved doing arts and crafts with me, letting her imagination run wild. She loved dressing up and putting on my high heels. She would make me laugh, looking at me over her glasses like a little old lady. She loved ballet, cheerleading, and planting flowers with me. My Kaylee had the greatest memory. She loved singing. She loved to carry her purse, which was always filled with hand sanitizer and lip gloss. She loved getting her nails painted and sometimes doing it herself. She also loved ballet and cheerleading. She loved balloons and playing outside. I taught them to be giving, loving, and respectful, to help others, to volunteer. They were not selfish children. Coy and Kaylee were learning about kids less fortunate than themselves. I took them with me to purchase items for Christmas and explained to them what we were doing to make them happy. I always encouraged them and told them that they can do anything they put their minds to do. Those are the lives that you took. You tried to separate them from each other. They are siblings who loved each other and spent time with one another. Trying to split them up didn't work. They are together more than ever. Chadney and Kara are still watching over the little sisters, Coy and Kaylee, forever. I carried each one of them in my womb for 9 months and raised them. Nothing or no one, sure as hell, not you, can break me or break my bond with them. But while I stand up here trembling with fear, I put on my bravest face to be in the same room with the man who murdered all 4 of my children. 2 of them violently in front of me with the gun, Chadney and Kara. And he killed my other 2 babies, Coy and Kaylee, with a hose that ran from the tailpipe of his car to where they were innocently sleeping. As if that wasn't enough, let me tell you about some of the devastation that it has actually done to me and my family. My short-term memory is gone. Doctors tell me it's my brain protecting me from the memories of my children being shot in their heads right in front of me, while I was gagged, duct-taped, and zip-tied. Every time I find strength to get out of bed, as soon as I walk, I'm in extreme pain, sharp pain, from where he shot me in my foot. They don't know if I'll ever walk again without pain. Think about that for a second. Never being able to again to walk without pain. My doctors say I have post-traumatic stress disorder. That's where the migraines and nightmares come from. Sometimes I dream of the night all this happened and wake up screaming and sweating, thinking that I can save my children somehow. Then I realize that the nightmare is actually reality and my children are really gone, and I try to find the strength to start my day somehow. Other times there's just crazy nightmares that I wake up from in fear and try to understand them, but I'm told that they all link back to this horrific experience I have had. I can't think of the last time I really rested without medication. I can still feel the zip ties around my wrists, and it triggers horrible memories of that night. There's times I find myself drifting off into thought and then realize I'm not thinking of anything. I'm empty. Lost. I'm lost, not really knowing what to do with myself, just existing day to day. I miss my children so much that words will never be able to explain. All I ever wanted to be was a mother, a wife, have a happy family, raise my children to be productive members of society, and be happy. The reality I face now is this will never happen for me. Time will never heal this wound. I will always be empty. A part of me will always be missing. If the day ever comes when I do wake up and it's not the first thing that I think about, when I look in the mirror, I will always be reminded by the scars he put on my face, cutting me from my ears to my chin with a razor blade box cutter. The pain on the left side of my face never goes away. He cut me so deep that it severed multiple nerves that may never heal correctly. I lost so much blood. I was in critical condition for days. I should have died. Some days I wish I would have. He has scarred me for life. My whole family is devastated emotionally by what has happened. But it has extremely been hard on my parents. They love their grandchildren with all their hearts. Most days my mother has a hard time getting out of bed and has been in the hospital a few times, but my father is taking it the hardest. He's not the same person he once was. The stress has taken a toll on his health. 2 weeks ago, he was taken to the hospital because he had a stroke. I honestly don't know where to go from here. I'm numb. There's a hole in my heart and soul that can never be repaired. The loss to me is so big that I will never truly recover for the rest of my life. I will be forever in pain and heartbreak. This wound will never heal. This wound will never heal. I would like to thank the court and you, Your Honor, for the time you have allowed me to speak. I would like to thank the prosecutor's office and staff and all the police officers who helped in this case. In closing, I understand the recommendation of the sentence, but I would like to recommend, as a victim myself and the mother of all 4 murdered children, life in prison without the chance of parole. Thank you. Faith Green.
Thank you. Anything more from the people?
Your Honor, just a few statements to make. I would note for the court, and I believe you mentioned that there were a couple of typewritten victim impact statements from the Allen side of the family of the 2 older children that were submitted for your consideration. I would also be remiss in stating that, not mentioning that there are members of the Allen side of the family in court today. They have chosen not to make a verbal statement, but I have assured them that the court has considered their statements in the sentencing today. I'd also like to make it clear that as a prosecutor, I've been involved in this case since the night it happened. Every police officer, every victim advocate, every prosecutor that has looked at this file or touched this file or worked on this file will forever be affected. I tried to think of what I could say today, but honestly, Judge, there just aren't any words. It is tragic, it is heinous, it is beyond evil, it is unconscionable what this man has done. And as Ms. Green stated, these scars will never heal. They never will. Also, I would like to make it clear that this plea agreement was not entered into lightly by the prosecutor's office. There was a great deal of consultation with the family members of these 4 children. They understand that there is a possibility of parole, but they also understand that Mr. Green sits before you as a 50-year-old man who will not be eligible for parole until he's 97. It is the sincere hope of the people in this case that that day never comes. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Longstreet, would you like to say anything before I give your client an opportunity to speak?
The defense is respectfully request that the court advise on the sentencing agreement in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Green, is that time and date set for sentencing? Is there anything you'd like to say on your own behalf, sir?
I just want to say, well, first of all, thank God, only he can judge. I do regret, and I'm sorry for what has happened. All I've ever wanted was a God-fearing helpmate that would support me and be faithful no matter what, as well as dedicated to the whole family. That put aside, I have to be humble, very humble, because God knows the heart, and He knows how regretful, how sorry I am. And even now, after all this, He still has a plan. And I'm not giving up on that plan. Because God is God. And there's not one day that go by that I don't think of my girls. Not one day, often picturing them playing and talking to their Heavenly Father. And, I pray that God be with Chadney and Carol. I feel bad for how this has deeply impacted everyone. May God help them, help me, help us all. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Mr. Green, of all the tragic cases this court has seen, the fact of this one are by far the worst. Fathers are supposed to protect their children.
Yes.
Husbands are supposed to protect their wives. I didn't know how I would sit here this morning and get through listening to Ms. Green testify about what happened in this case, yet I look at you and you appear utterly unmoved by everything that she said. Your actions are inconceivable and beyond understanding. I hope that the families affected by this tragedy can heal. As a practical matter, this court is confident that if I follow the sentence agreement in this case, you will never be released from prison. And rather than decide to, in the event I were to say, nope, this isn't enough, the family would be forced to take this to trial, and I don't want Ms. Green to ever have to endure what happened again. She already has to live with it every day. So for that reason, I'm going to follow the sentence agreement. I'm convinced that you will be incarcerated for the remainder of your life.
Thank you!
Hold on. That's practically speaking. With respect to counts 1 through 5, as I said, I am going to follow the sentence agreement. You're going to be sentenced to 45 to 100 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Count 6 to 10 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. All will be consecutive, or concurrent with one another and consecutive to count 10 for the felony firearm, which will be 2 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. You will receive credit for 161 days. You must pay $476 in state costs, crime victims assessment in the amount of $130, court costs in the amount of $1,300, attorney's fees in the amount of $400, and a $60 DNA fee. Since this was a conviction by plea, you can file an application for leave to appeal the conviction and sentence with the Court of Appeals. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you, and that request needs to be made within the next 42 days. Thank you. We're done.
Burn the hell. Hey, ma'am.
I just read those. No, I'm are they in the? Sorry, this more. Wait.
Listen.
They didn't submit a restitution order. Counsel, can you come up here? Anything submitted on restitution? No. Okay. Outburst, I said it accurately.
Yeah, I think Mr. Allen, Chairman Allen had asked for some reasons, but according to the PSI, he did not submit any of those laws, so I'll have the advocate's advice on the court.
Okay, all right. I didn't think I was that confusing, but I guess
Oh, good, Lori already did it, okay.